Good, e- oh, good evening, everyone. My name is Zadlan, and I'll be your SAA for tonight. Now, we are going to start with a brief introduction of Toastmaster. Toastmaster is a nonprofit organization, international organization founded by Ralph C. Smedley in 1924. He believes that we should work on our communication and presentation skills and leadership skills. And that's what we are doing tonight. With that said, oh, what happened to the controls? Yeah. For tonight, since we're online, I will be doing the Toastmaster oath for everyone. So you can recite it on your own, but with the mic off, or yeah, no, actually, I would prefer you recite it on your own out loud, but with the mic off so that we don't disturb each other's audio. So let's do it together in 3, 2, 1, to provide a supportive and positive learning experience in which members are empowered to develop communication and leadership skills, resulting in greater self-confidence and personal growth. I heard everyone's heartfelt confession. With that, next, in Toastmaster, we have our own educational pathway, educational system called Pathways. And if you see on the screen, those are just some of them. When you join Toastmasters Club, you'll be subjected to this educational pathway catered to your needs. Now, for Brunei Toastmasters, if you need to know more, you can approach Li Mei An. She's here in the chat. Now, oh yes, I forgot to introduce the 4 different Toastmasters clubs in Brunei. The first being UBD Toastmasters Club, held every Monday, 7:30. Brunei Speakers Club, which is us, every Tuesday, 7:30. Otters, every Wednesday, 7:30. And last but not least, Brunei Advanced Speakers Club, every first Friday of the month. I'm trying to find the control. Yeah. Now, for online settings, we do have some rules that we need to adhere to. First is to be polite and respectful toward each other. No taboo topics such as sex, politics, and religion. Please keep your mic on mute. Only unmute when you call upon or when it's your turn to speak. For online settings, claps might disturb each other audio, so I would prefer everyone to give enthusiastic jazz hands instead of claps to support each other. It's also a good way to exercise during the lockdown. With that, let's see here if we have any guests for today. I see Amy. Amy, would you please introduce yourself and what's your expectation from tonight's meeting?
Hello, everyone. Yeah, this is my first time. My name is actually Nurul Amy, but you may call me Amy for short. Well, the reason why I wanted to see as an audience tonight is because I feel like sometimes I don't have the confidence to present. Yeah, so like now, actually, I'm actually very nervous. So I actually want that confidence so that, yeah. Oh my gosh, yes. So this is one example. Yeah, this is it.
Thank you.
Yep. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Amy.
Thank you.
It is a good platform for building your confidence because I believe that with competency, confidence will come as well. And Toastmaster is a great platform to do just that. Let's see. Yes, I also have another guest, Alice Lee. Could you please introduce yourself and your expectation for tonight?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, Alice, loud and clear.
Hello, nice to meet you all. I'm Alice Lee and it's my first time here. I look forward to tonight's session And thank you again, Zati, for inviting me.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Alice. Do you have any expectation for tonight?
It's my first time here, so I'm not sure what to expect, but I would like to see how the members in this Toastmaster club perform, their speeches especially, since I kind of have the opinion that this Toastmaster club is full of members that are really good in speaking. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Alice. I love the free reign to sweep you off your feet. And
Thank you.
I hope that we would do justice with your expectation as well. Next, let's see if we have other guests. Oh, yes, we do. Can I please invite the guest King Hong to introduce yourself and your expectation?
Yeah, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is King Hong. Actually, I'm a Toastmaster from another club, Kuching Toastmaster Club in Sarawak, Malaysia, where it is located at the same Borneo Island as where the Brunei Toastmaster Club is located. So we are on the same island. Yeah, I just happened to browse through Pipik Insta story and then happened to know that tonight the Brunei Toastmaster Club is having a meeting. So I asked her for the link and here I am tonight. Expectation for the Toastmaster meeting. Well, I'm looking forward to the meeting tonight and all the upcoming speeches and whatever you have in store tonight.
Thank you so much, King Hong. One good thing about the pandemic is that we are able to join each other's meeting. We do not have to cross the border to do that. So it's a good opportunity. And hopefully, if we do come across your club's online meeting as well, you might see us there. Next, may I please invite the guest One Thing to introduce herself and her expectation for tonight's meeting.
Hi, I'm One Thing.
Hi, One Thing.
Hi.
I just realized from your voice that you're not really a guest. Well, you're still a guest, a technical guest, but you've been coming to the meeting quite often that I'm surprised that you're not yet a member. Next, I just now I saw someone with you and you. Is that a guest?
Yeah, hi everyone.
Oh, Cairo.
Yes. Yeah, good Assalamualaikum and good evening. So my name is Carol. Today is this is my first time joining Toastmaster Brunei. So I expect to learn. So my expectation is to improve my presentation skills, to build more confidence. So I hope to learn something from the presentation today. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Cairo. So I was wondering which one of you is Cairo because we were informed beforehand that you will be coming. So I'm so happy that we see a lot of first-timers today. And without further ado, we're going to get on to the main attraction. I will pass the floor to our Toastmaster of the evening, Megat Arif, Effective Coaching Level 3. Everyone, give it up for Megat Arif. Woo!
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, Toastmasters from around the world. Let us say that. All right, for those who don't know me, my name is Megat Arif. Usually, for those who knows me, I will give a 10 minutes introduction and talk about myself. But for tonight, I'll just give a brief introduction. My name is Megat Arif. I am actually half Bruneian and half Malaysian, for those who don't know. Hence, the name Megat. But usually, when I go to Malaysia, I speak Bruneian. When I go to Bruneian, and some Bruneian friends say that I talk Malaysian. So maybe I'm in the border of the South China Sea. I'm not sure. All right. Okay. Now, without further ado, tonight's meeting wouldn't be possible without my role players. Let me introduce to you our role players for tonight. The first and only, our table topics master, give a round of applause to Motivational Strategy Level 1, Zati Rahman.
Good evening, everyone, fellow Toastmasters and guests. So the table topic session is a time for members and guests to try out impromptu speeches. Each speaker will be given 1 to 2 minutes, and make sure to take your time before you speak. This is to practice for real-life situations where you will need to make spontaneous decisions for ideas and creativity. Be sure not to panic, breathe, and have fun. Back to you, Megat.
Thank you so much, Zati. Now, next we have our table topics evaluator. Give a round of applause to Shahnur Nizam. Persuasive Influence Level 4, Shahnur Nizam.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. As the table topic evaluator, I will be evaluating the speakers who will be attempting the table topic, which will be presented by our table topic master, Zati Rahman. As the evaluator, I will be primarily looking at the content of the speech, whether the speech has the classic 3 speech structure, which is the opening, body, and the conclusion, and also we'll be commenting on how the speech flows and so on. I'm looking forward for your speeches. Back to you, Megat Arif.
Thank you, Shahnur. Now, ladies and gentlemen, especially guests, please don't be shy to participate in the table topics session. Usually people are shy when it's come to face-to-face, but we're online now. I don't see any reason to be shy. All right. Now, let's move on to the next role players. Please invite our grammarian, one and only, distinguished Toastmaster, Rano Iskandar.
Hi, everyone. Can you hear me? Show hands
Yes.
away. Yeah, all right. So I'm your grammarian for today. I have 2 parts. So I want to choose the first part. Can you change the slides to the word of the day? So the word of the day is not a spoiler anymore because it's on my is hair raising. So hair raising is an adjective meaning causing terror, excitement, or a great surprise. So example is he shared a hair raising ghost story, or the audience reacted in a hair raising state after Megat was asked to attempt his wonderful crafted speech. So hope you can abuse the word of the day. Maybe don't abuse it too much, but hopefully you can put in the context of your speech later on. And my second part is basically to assess the language that has been used tonight to see if there are any very interesting usages of English language. And perhaps I can give some recommendations if there are some incorrect usage of the English grammar. So I'll be back later at the third part of the session. I'll pass the control back to Megat. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Rano. Now, usually when people ask me to reattempt my wonderful speech, I wouldn't raise my hair, but I flip my hair back and forth. Get it? Okay. I don't know who's laughing. I don't know who's not laughing. Now, let's move on to the next role players. Our counter and who said what? Let us invite our Lai Ling Ling presentation master proficient team collaborator level 2, Lai Ling Ling.
Hello, and thank you very much for introduction, Megat. Good evening, fellow Toastmasters and guests of tonight. In Toastmasters, we learn a couple of things from languages to evaluations to accounting. Now, what is that? Sometimes when we get on a stage and we have to talk in front of people, it can be quite a heart-pumping, hair-raising experience. And then we get so nervous that we drop things like so, you know, like, and these aren't too bad until the moment that it interrupts your speech and it diminishes your credibility. So in Toastmasters, we have a person who is dedicated to counting the amount of ers, you know, likes and so's, anything that can impede your speech. This isn't so to shame you, but it's sort of to bring awareness so that if we know where we are making these little stutters, then we can then be able to fix it. So that's the first thing. Now you might be wondering who said what. In Brunei, we have a little interesting session where in addition to the counting, we have a little quiz at the end, sort of like a recap to remind ourselves what went on and what interesting bits happening. so everyone can test their listening skills, and let's see who can answer the most tonight. Thank you very much, and back to you, Magat.
Thank you so much, Hai Ling Ling. Now, let's move on to our next role players. We have the timer and tip. Please give a round of applause to Presentation Mastery Level 1, Akash Kumar.
Thank you, Megat. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Excellent. Good evening, everyone. I am Akash Kumar. I am your timer and tip for tonight. Basically, my job is to make sure that all the speeches and evaluations happen within the set time. For example, the table topics are supposed to be 1 to 2 minutes. In 1 minute, I will show you the green card. When you reach 1 minute 30 seconds, I will show you the yellow card. And when you reach 2 minutes, I will show you the red card. For prepared speeches, I will show the green card at 5 minutes, the yellow at 6, and red at 7. Since we have 3 prepared speeches, we will probably only have around 4 to 5 table topics. And I will also time the evaluators as well. And my tip for tonight's meeting is to take your time. Do not rush. Just focus and think before you speak. With that, back to you, Megat.
Thank you so much, Akash Kumar. Now, just a tip for our table topic speakers and our prepared speech tonight, our prepared speakers. I believe that before you can start doing your speech, you can pin on a pic that you can see what is your time at the moment, all right, when you're speaking. All right, now our last and not least, our last role player for tonight, we have our general evaluator. Now to introduce her role, let us invite Innovative Planning Level 1, Lim Mei An.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, our fellow Toastmasters based in Brunei and abroad. I am your general evaluator for this evening. As the general evaluator, I have 2 roles. The first is to give feedback to all evaluators who are giving their opinions and thoughts as well as suggestions towards table topic speakers and prepared speech speakers. My second role would be to give comments regarding the running of this meeting. That would include how well the meeting is run, how prepared our role players are, how is our atmosphere. I will be conducting the third part of tonight's meeting. And for now, I will return the floor back to our Toastmaster of the evening, Megat Arif.
Thank you so much, Mei An. Now, I think everyone, before Mei An would evaluate atmosphere, I think we can give a jazz hand to her. Now, everyone, how about that? Hey, man. Okay, so she can comment. We have a good atmosphere for tonight. All right, that is all our role players for tonight. Now, we have not 1, 2, but we have 3 prepared speakers for tonight. Okay, now let me share our agenda for tonight. We at 7:50 we'll start our table topics, and then we'll be continuing with our prepared speeches, 3 prepared speeches, and we have our 10 minutes break before we continue to our last session, which is the evaluation session. Now, before we kickstart our meeting tonight with our table topics, let me share my thought of the day. I think everyone knows Mr. Bob Marley. I love his quote, which is, as you can see, none but ourselves can free our minds. None but ourselves can free our mind. I believe that this is a good quote for me at the moment right now, at these times of pandemic. We have in Brunei, we have our second wave, and we have our 3rd, 4th lockdown at the moment, and we all are left with our thoughts most of the time. Now, why I believe that for me this is a good quote, maybe a good quote, not just for tonight, it's a good quote for me to look at every single day. Now, because there are times when we feel that we are not good enough, and there are times that we feel that we just can't do anything anymore, and there are times that we think that we can't achieve anything in our life. we can't go out, we can't do anything. And at the end of the day, we are left with our own thoughts to believe that we're not worth it for something we really wish to have or something that we really want. We are stuck at that stagnant mindset and it stops us from doing anything. Now, this is me, actually, not just now, but this is me most of the time before. Now, at this stagnant state of mind, I can't achieve anything and I want to do something. And yes, there are people around us. There are people around us always gonna help us a lot, and which is good. But these people's effort to help us wouldn't be worth it if we can't help ourselves first. So we need to put ourselves back up there. We need to change our mindset. We need to have a positive mindset. We need to bring ourselves back up first, so that the people who are helping us feels more worth it for us and more worth it for them as well. All right, now let us move to our first session for tonight, which is the table topic session. Now, without further ado, let us invite our motivational strategy level 1, Zati Rahman.
Thank you, my God. So tonight's table topic's hair-raising theme is villains. So this was inspired because I've been binge watching Money Heist. So hence why we have tonight's theme of villains. So who will be my first victim for tonight? May I please invite Adlan? Adlan, would you like to take the stage?
Yes.
Okay. Oh, do I have to put you on spotlight?
Yes, please. Oh, I'll do it myself.
Oh, okay, thank you. So from 1 till 8, which number would you like to risk yourself?
Number 8, please. No, actually, number 1.
Number 1, okay. Do you agree with this statement? Not all villains are bad. Do you agree with this statement? Not all villains are bad. Are you ready?
Hold on. I am also the Zoom coordinator, so I'm adding. Right. Okay. Yes, I am ready.
Okay. The stage is yours.
My topic for tonight is not all villains are bad. And I would have to say that, yes, not all villains are bad, but that doesn't justify their actions. Because at the end of the day, it is your choice to do those villainous acts, regardless of your inherent tendencies. For example, myself, I work as a teacher to small children, and some of them test me as a teacher, while some of them test me as a human being. Now, have I ever thought of manhandling them, tossing them out of the window? Yes, I have. But I do not do it. Just because I have that tendency to do it, that feeling of wanting to do it, doesn't mean that I should do it. So to re-emphasize my point just now, it is not your behavior what makes you a villain, is your action. I believe there's a quote somewhere that says that your first thought is your mentality. Your first thought is your mentality, but what you choose to do after that is your character. So I believe that I stand by my first point, where not all villains are bad, but those who choose to act upon it are the ones that are truly villainous. So thank you, everyone. Back to you, Table Topic Master Zati Rahman.
Thank you, villainous teacher. And I totally agree with you that it's okay to have villainous thoughts as long as you don't have villainous actions. Definitely. So next, I would like to invite is Akila. Would you like to take the stage? Akila?
Yes, sure.
Yes. Okay. So from number 2 till 7, which would you like to risk yourself?
Can I go with 5?
5. So number 5. Is there a limit to being good? Is there a limit to being good?
Okay. Good evening, everyone. Is there a limit to being good? I personally think that there is not. Although at most times, sometimes like you encounter a situation where you do good all the time, but then people test you, just like what Atlan's saying. They test you as a human being, they test you in your professional way. However, if you are truly doing good for the sake of doing good itself, there's no limit to it, in my opinion. You do good not because you ask or you want something good back in return. That's when you feel like there's a limit to it. Like, I'm doing good all the time, but then I'm not getting anything back. So that's when you tend to stop being good and do the other things that, for example, not good. And for that, I think there's no limit to it. And that's all for me. Thank you, Zati. Back to you.
Thank you, Akila, for your wonderful speech. I would definitely agree with that we should definitely be good, and how sometimes being villainous can really change yourself as well as your mentality. Next, I would like to invite is King Ha. Would you like to take the stage?
Yeah, sure.
All right. Okay, so there is 2, 3, 6, and 7.
2.
2. If you could be any villain, who would you be? If you could be any villain, who would you be? Are you ready?
Yeah. Since Gati, the table topic master, mentioned about she being watched the Money Heist recently. So I think the great villain in that series will be the professor. You know, of course, in some way, I admire Professor because he is such a smart person, right? Brilliant, and a master planner who can plan all kinds of things and who can predict whatever consequence comes, he has a solution to it. So that is the part that I admire him. But yeah, but of course that does not justify what he did in the series, right? He caused all the damages to the people, and people get killed. You know, police, army come in, and then that costs taxpayer money. So I think I agree with what Mugat said in the first topic. The action does not justify whatever the villain had in mind. Yeah, so I think in one way or the other, we need to make use of our advantages. If you are a smart person, if you are very good in planning things, make good use of those, you know, to help the society, rather than to planning all kind of things that causing damage to the society. Yeah, over to you, Jati. I hope that does not destroy your dream as the Money Heist villain.
Thank you very much. It kind of destroyed my dream to be Money Heist one day, but it's okay. We're all different human beings with different dreams. Thank you, King Hong. Next, I would like to invite is Aimee. Would you like to take the stage?
Hello.
Hello.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay.
What numbers are there? Oh, sorry, I can't hear you.
Oh, sorry. So there is 3, 4, 6, and 7. 3, 4, 6, and 7.
I'll take 7. I hope it's not very difficult. Yeah.
All right. So, will the world finally be at peace if all notorious villains are removed? Will the world finally be at peace if all notorious villains are removed?
Well,
is that okay?
Quite difficult actually, but I'm just going to try.
Do you want to try a different question or?
Oh, can I choose another number then?
Yes, sure. 3, 4, or 6.
I'll take number 6 then.
6.
Yes.
When is it okay to have sympathy for villains? When is it okay to have sympathy for villains? Is that right?
Yes. All right.
Okay. All the best.
Okay. All right. Thank you. I think that you can start having sympathy towards villains when they don't have any choice. So the reason why I think that they be a villain in the first place is because they are desperate. So say for example, they become a robber. Yeah. Oh, well, because they are poor. Well, so I think that's when that you have sympathy towards them. And then, oh, sorry, that's it. Yep. I can't hear you.
Is it the question? When is it okay to have sympathy for villains?
Did I answer your question just now? I mean, did you hear?
Oh, yes. Oh, okay. I thought you wanted to ask that. You want me to repeat the question again?
No. Yeah, I'm so sorry.
You still have time. You still have time, Amy.
Oh,
you still have time.
Right.
Yes.
Continue.
Would you like to continue?
It's just that I'm very nervous that I really can't think and my brain is not working right now.
Oh,
I'm so sorry. Yes. So
Great, don't worry about it. And
yes.
I would definitely agree because of how some poor people, they really need to go to that villainous side just to survive and help with their families as well. So that could justify in some ways. It's debatable. Okay, so I would like to repeat everyone's speeches. So don't forget to vote. Don't forget to vote and text me your favorite speaker, and I will later announce it after the break. So there is Adlan with "Not all villains are bad," where he said that it does not justify their actions, and how him being a teacher and wanting to chokehold children or something, and how just because he has those evil thoughts does not make him want to take action and kill them, for example. And there is Akila, where she says that there is no limit, where she disagree with how that there is no limit to being good. And even if it's for the sake of, and we have to do it for the sake of doing good, there will always be no limit, even if people they like to test us. And then there is King Hong, who said that his favorite villain is the professor from Money Heist, and how he admires the way that he is able to find solution for every problem, but it doesn't. And finally, there is Amy, and that is how we should sometimes have sympathy for villains, such as when the villains are in desperation that they have to help their families, for example, or if they are poor, they need to steal things. And back to you, Megat. Thank you for tonight.
Thank you so much, Zati, and it was a lovely table topic session. I was intrigued with the last question just now, what Amy have to say. I've heard this one real life story. It happens in Malaysia, if I'm not mistaken, it was last year. A lady got caught because she stole some food at a food market, and she hurt the shopkeeper, if I'm not mistaken. And the police caught her because she's stealing food. And it happens to be that when the police was asking her why did she steal the food, and she told the policeman she has to find food because 3 of her kids not eating anything for the last 3 days. So would you consider that as a hero, or would you consider that as a villain? All right, okay, it was a lovely session. Now, let's move on to our prepared speech. Our first prepared speaker we have coming from Brunei Speakers Club, Toastmaster Charles Buck. Now, before Charles Buck deliver his icebreaker speech, let us invite his evaluator. Let us invite Toastmaster Amar Mirza.
Am I audible?
Yes, you're audible.
All right, thank you, Megat. So, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Charles will be attempting an icebreaker speech with a humble attempt to define and introduce the being known as Charles John Buck himself. So the purpose of Charles' project is for the member to introduce himself to the club and learn the basic structure of a public speech. I will be evaluating Charles' speech in terms of structure and delivery, structure in terms of audience engagement, and delivery in terms of body language and vocal variety. I look forward to your speech. Charles. All the best, and back to you, Toastmasters of the evening.
Thank you so much, Toastmaster Amar Mirza. Now, ladies and gentlemen, can we have a round of applause for Toastmaster Charles Buck, bucking the system, Toastmaster Charles Buck.
Good grief. That was my immediate response, the PG version, when I first sat down and started my speech. Who am I? A question that I've always tended to avoid because I've never really liked the answer. When I ask myself the question, who am I? Ridley Scott's film Gladiator immediately pops into my mind. I think of the ending scene where Commodus challenges Maximus to a one-on-one fight. Maximus, who is a gladiator, is far more skilled. And he says to Commodus, who is the emperor, "Do you really want to challenge me?" And Commodus, trying to protect his fragile ego, says, "Why? Do you think I'm afraid?" And Maximus says to him, "I think you've been afraid all your life." Toastmaster of the evening, guests, and fellow Toastmasters. As you can tell, I have a slight penchant for the overly dramatic. But what I really want you to glean from the scene is that I've always lived my life in fear. Fear of this world, because at times I feel that I don't really belong, or it's a system that I've never quite fitted into. In fact, my entry into this world is somewhat unwelcomed. My mother said I was born 2 months premature, which is plausible considering that I do have a very odd tendency to be early. In fact, if you are 10 minutes early, you're on time. And if you're on time, you're late. Now, because I was early or unexpected, my bed ended up being a draw. Now, if it's any consolation, my first bed, or my crib, was in fact, this was actually an upgrade because it was a shoebox. Tough. And you could think, well, surely life could get better. No, only tougher. My father was a tyrant, or you could say a true villain. There are three things that I remember from my early childhood. The first, every picture I'm in, I'm always crying. The second, my grandmother used to give me alcohol behind the scenes, as if that's really going to help, considering that I was premature. And three, my father, he used to beat all and sundry to a pulp. Hadouken. That's sort of my segue to go into my teen years and also avoid any hair-raising childhood experiences. If you aren't familiar with the term Hadouken, it is an energy blast fired by these two, Ryu and Ken. Now, because I was white as mayonnaise, I used to say Ryu. Now, what you can glean from these two things, or what you can gather, is one, I like to say Hadouken and do the actions as often as I can. And two, I was a real nerd in high school. And not the hippie Big Bang Theory nerd. No, the real deal. The nerd that went to an all-boys high school. The nerd that was blasted in the face with pimples and memorized all 151 Pokemon, Generation 1, and additional 100 Generation 2 Pokemon. And now I know what you're thinking, ladies. That's hot. That's rad, beyond radness. Well, you're wrong, because in a rugby school, that doesn't really rate highly. In the hierarchical system, anime sort of comes below chess. And lucky me, I ended up doing both. So I'm not too sure where I would fit into that system. Now, to the even more discerning listener, you might have picked up from my slang that I'm an 80s baby. In fact, because I'm born in 84, I'm what some might call a geriatric millennial, but I prefer another term. I prefer to call myself a Terminator baby, because I was born in the same year as Terminator. And Terminator 2 was the first film that I went to when I went to a drive-in. What I remember most about this experience is that I was hidden under a blanket with my brother, and we got in for free. And if you are wondering, yes, I was 7 years old when I watched Terminator 2. Dude, 80s, 90s, parenting was for squares. Come to think of it, hiding was something that I'd learned from a young age to escape the tyranny or villainy from my father. And I just seemed to follow the trend. Now, I don't think I've really answered the question, who am I? Maybe not directly, maybe more hidden. I naturally don't like to advertise who I am, but I hope I've given you a glimpse into the character that is me, Charles John Buck. I hope I have done this, but I shall leave that to you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Charles John Buck. Now your speech was, for me, really nostalgic. You brought up everything about the 90s, early 90s and late 80s. Wow. But you didn't mention Dragon Ball. Come on. Dragon Ball and Street Fighter, at least. Thank you so much. But that was a lovely speech. Now let's move on to our next prepared speaker for tonight. We have coming from trainers and coaches advanced online, being Hendra. Now, before we hear what Hendra has to speak about himself, let us invite his evaluator. Oh, sorry. Okay, let us invite his evaluator, Advanced Communicator Silver, Advanced Leadership Silver, Rui Chong Narcis.
Thank you, Megat. Good evening, everyone. This is a very special project whereby the person learns how to identify their own culture and the associated stereotypes. Now, Ping's challenge today is to deliver a speech that he's carefully crafted, right, that shares some aspect of his own cultural ID and also how it impacted on others' perception. I look forward to the project and you'll hear from me in the third part of the meeting. So raise some hairs, Ping, raise some hairs. Over to you, Toastmaster of the evening.
Thank you so much, Rui. Now let me read his synopsis about his speech for tonight. Ping Hendra. Ping have lived and worked in 4 countries. He will be sharing with us his experience in all kinds of generalizations, assumptions, and anything in between when it comes to his culture and background. So, ladies and gentlemen, let us invite Ping Hendra. Can I have a change? Can I have a change? Ping Hendra.
How many of you here has ever lived overseas, away from your home? I'm sure for those of you that raise your hands, you're bound to meet a lot of different types of people that probably said something to you that's a little bit offensive, I would say, or maybe stereotyping you in a way that's generalizing you as a race. Well, that happened to me when I moved from Medan, Indonesia, where I'm from, to Singapore at a young age of 12 for secondary school education. So upon arrival, my English was barely passable. I still could not differentiate between he or she. Always made a mistake. He, she, he. So for our counter, there's not, okay. Anyway, that happened to me many times. And every time when I ask something from someone or someone asks me for direction, I will say, okay, turn left, but my hand is pointing to the right, and vice versa. Many times I made that mistake. However, when I'm in school, everybody assumes that being a foreigner outside to a small nation in Singapore, especially from Indonesia, everybody assumes that I'm rich or my family is rich. So every time during recess, they will say, Ping, can I have a change? Ping, can I have 50 cents? Or in Singlish, got 50 cents? And I'll be, no. And after a while, they'll say, wow, you Indonesians so stingy. So I get from being rich to being stingy. And that happens many times. And so, Charles, I used to play Pokemon as well, those Pokemon cards. And I made a bunch of money with that Pokemon cards. And then people said that, wow, you Indonesians are so good at making money. You guys are so good at business. No wonder you guys are so rich. I was like, no, I just took advantage of you guys really wanting this Pokemon cards. And that's why it happened. Then as I moved from Singapore to the US, it got worse. Because by then, perhaps because I stayed at a predominantly Asian part of the city in California called Cupertino, which is where you make the apples are made, Apple computers. So when I was there, it's funny that people assume that all Asians are really smart. There was a time where someone has to pick a team for a project. And the first person that he picked was me. So I didn't know the guy, and it's the first day of school. And me, right? So I came up and I said, hey, why did you pick me in the first place? And this is what he said, verbatim. Look at you. You wear glasses, your hair's like that. You must be smart. And you're an Asian. And he said that, and to me, part of me was, oh wow, cool, I got picked first. But another part of me is like, dude, that's hella offensive. You're making generalization like that. However, that after a while, I became so used to it that it doesn't bother me anymore. Then the worst of the worst was when I moved from the US over to Shanghai, China. With an Asian looking face and Asian background, everybody assumes I'm Chinese. I speak Mandarin, even though my Mandarin's really bad, because I went there to learn Mandarin and to speak Mandarin. So people always say, why is your Mandarin so bad? In Chinese, it's like this. 为什么你的中文这么差? And then they say, your Mandarin is like 4 or 5-year-old kids Mandarin. And I said, well, because I'm not from China. I'm not Chinese. I'm from Indonesia. And then they switch. They say, oh, really? Wow, 你的中文这么好. Wow, your Mandarin is so good. I was like, what's going on? From your Mandarin is so bad to your Mandarin is so good, just like that. And it's all based on generalizations. I'm sure some of you did that without you noticing it or without you even realizing it. Maybe someone from a particular race or a particular religion or a particular gender even said something to you or did something that maybe you were offended, or maybe you were a little bit angry. And because of that, it makes you felt, wow, that particular race must be this particular thing. And because of that, it steamrolled. The moment you met someone from that particular race or that particular religion or that particular gender, you became negative. Does that happen to you? If yes, please raise your hand. It happened to me as well. My hands are raised. So it happened to me as well. So I'm here to tell all of you that please don't do that. Okay, because as much as we, a human being, we need all of us here. We need everyone to be together, especially at this day and age where the political tension is getting tougher and tougher. So everybody expects you to change, but please don't change, because even though there are 7 billion people in the world, there's only one you, and be unique and be you. Don't change for anyone, change yourself, but at the end of the day, be you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ping. That's for me a really eye-opening speech. Wow, that's really, really good. Just let me share one example. This is in terms of Malay example, if I may. See, I'm half Bruneian, half Malaysian. You know, chicken lungs, right? Beef lungs. In Malaysia, they call it jantung. But in Brunei, we call it hati buyah. So there was one time during the fasting season, I was in Malaysia. I was at a food market. And I went to this lady. I said, can I have the hati buyah? Huh? Hati buaya? Kami tak jual hati buaya. No, I said hati buyah. So she thought I was asking for crocodile lungs. So that happened to me last time. Imagine that. All right. Thank you so much, Ping Hendra. Now, let's move on to our final prepared speaker for tonight. Coming from Eagle and Bonita Toastmasters, Pipet Andriani. Now, before that, can we invite her evaluator? Can we invite presentation mastery level for that G?
Thank you, Megat. Pipit today will be attempting a speech on connecting with your audience. The purpose of this project is for her to practice the skills needed to connect with an unfamiliar audience. Today is a perfect setting for her. We are all new faces to her. For me, it will be definitely a hair-raising experience if I'm in her shoes. But let's see how well she do. Just as not all villains are bad, not all audiences are good on Zoom. Some will doze off, some will eat behind their turn-off camera, some will watch Money Heist while pretending to listen to you. Then it is up to Pipit to keep all of us engaged. This is what I'll be looking for, simply how Pipit connect with all the unfamiliar audiences with her speech. With that, good luck, all the best. I'll be back later to present my report. And back to you, Magad.
Thank you so much, Dad. Ladies and gentlemen, Pipit Adriani. Let me read a synopsis about her speech. Now, Pipit will be sharing with us about a principle in international relations called RP2, or Responsibility to Protect. She will outline the usage of this principle in the modern history. Ladies and gentlemen, Pipit Adriani, Responsibility to Protect, Pipit Adriani.
Thank you so much for the pressure, the evaluator, and the Toastmaster throughout the evening. But before I start, can I share a screen, please? Yes, please don't count me yet. So, have not started. So 1, 2, 3. R2P, such a short phrase, actually carries a long history. Moreover, I have to talk about it under 7 minutes in Toastmasters. Toastmasters doesn't know about politics or prefers not to talk about politics, but R2P is almost like the neighbor of politics. So I'm trying my best to navigate my topic today without touching politics, but this is pure about international relations. Now, you might be wondering what is R2P, but probably this photo will tell you. Can you confirm if you can see my screen? Yes? Okay, probably some of you are familiar with this photo. And I don't have kids yet, but for me, myself, I cannot imagine how it feels handing over your kid to a stranger with the possibility probably you never will see them again. But you know that probably this is for the best because you're not in a safe situation. You're actually in danger. So just hand over your baby to a stranger. This happened in Afghanistan quite recently when the Taliban decided to run Kabul one more time after the soldiers from NATO pulled out of Afghanistan. And our reaction probably, let's go help them, quick, 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 especially when also they cannot escape. You probably are familiar with the next photo when a lot of people were trying to catch this Air Force flight leaving Kabul, but obviously they couldn't do it. Only 2 people managed to tie themselves to this plane, but of course they couldn't hold the pressure and then they just fell off the sky. So they could not escape. However, with the reaction of we should help them immediately, blah, 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 of course, this cannot be done right away because there's something called sovereignty. Sovereignty is the absolute power of the state to decide whatever is best for their country. Basically, this is the power held by the government. And this is something that probably have a comparison with a traffic light. You hate traffic light, right? Especially if you are the one who have to wait 5 minutes and you're running late, for example. But we will hate it more without traffic light because probably you're even more late than usual if the traffic light doesn't perform or doesn't function, because there will be a huge traffic jam. Same as sovereignty. If we don't have sovereignty, neighbors or countries will continue poking against each other, being nosy. What's going on there? You don't do it right. I will attack you, and then we keep fighting. Actually, this is what happened all throughout history before sovereignty was invented, So it makes even more trouble if there was no sovereignty. Fortunately, we knew better that there was a limit to sovereignty. Let them be. Let them do whatever they think best for their country, as long as they don't do this, one of this. 1, genocide. 2, war crimes. 3, crimes against humanity. And 4, ethnic cleansing. In the modern history, this is called responsibility to protect, or R2P for short. in the modern history has been done several times. There were several success stories. For example, in Rwanda in 1994. Actually, I used to work for the United Nations for a few months, and I got to meet a lot of people who survived from Rwandan genocide. One of them was my friend Marie-Christine Nibakwire. She was the lucky one because her fellow Rwandans, around 800 of them, 800,000 of them, was killed during this genocide. Of course, the international community couldn't let that happen any longer, right? So they interfered and came to the country to stabilize the order. Although after 800,000 people died. So it was kind of success story, but late, you know. Next one is not long after, it's 1998. It was in Yugoslavia and versus Kosovo, Albania. There were 8,500 people were killed during this crime. And NATO decided to interfere and then stabilize the region as well. So it was kind of a success story. However, not all of the R2P actions were successful. Some even backfired, made the situation even worse than before. They interfered. For example, when what happened in Tunisia, I'm sure you know what happened to George Floyd. He started the Black Lives Matter campaign, basically all around the world, but not many people know about Muhammad Azizi. Muhammad Azizi was from Tunisia. He was a street peddler, like he sold vegetables and fruit on the street, although he had a university degree, but he couldn't find work basically. But the police harassed him. He was so humiliated, so he set himself on fire and caught by the journalists and the people there, and his photo became viral and started what it was called as the Arab Spring. The Arab Spring is when this Arab world suddenly decided to wake up and rise against the tyranny that time, or what they saw as the government. And this was imitated all across the Arab world, basically. Some have stabilized, but others not so lucky. What are the differences? The difference is when the intervention force from the outside is too early. This is what happened. A sudden absence of government makes the situation worse or even out of control, probably even reach the point of no return. The analogy would be this egg. What makes the difference? When the force is from outside and it's too early, the egg will break. But if the force is from inside the right time, the egg will hatch. So this is basically what R2P has been doing. If we do it too early, like we did probably in Libya, in Iraq, and Syria, then it will be disastrous. But if we do it at the right time, just like in Rwanda and Bosnia, then it will be a good outcome. So I hope this can help us learn about R2P. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much, Pipit. Wow, that's really lovely awareness speech. This is my kind of thing. I always watch this on YouTube or TED Talk most every morning. I tell you that it's the news that I love to see. It's like at that particular moment, I thought I was seeing a TED Talk from you. That was really good, really good. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that was our final prepared speech for tonight. Now, timer, how long do we have? For evaluation, it's 8:34. Shall we have around 6 minutes break before we continue to our final session? Yes, can we have 6 minutes before we continue to our final session, which is the evaluation session? We will start around 8:40. And with that, thank you so much. The general evaluation for tonight. To host the evaluation session for tonight, let us invite our general evaluator, Innovation Planning Level 1, Lim Mei An.
Good evening again, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you, Toastmaster of the evening, for introducing me. It's now my turn to take floor of the feedback session Without further ado, let us have Megad to project the screen for me to invite a role player up to give the evaluation. We will have Persuasive Influence Level 4 Proficient Shanu Nizam on the floor to give his comments and feedback suggestions to the 4 table topic speaker. Over to you, Shanur.
Hello and good evening again, ladies and gentlemen. So I will start off my evaluation first for Adlan, where his speech topic is not all villains are bad. In terms of his speech structure, I think it is an exemplary where he had his speech opening, body, and also the conclusion, where he stated his main point in the opening, justified his point in the body, and nicely wrap up his speech in the conclusion, where he hammered his point again to make the message even more clearer. He also provided us with a real and relatable example about not all villains are bad, which is the example about the manhandling kids. It is relatable because let us not kid ourselves. Sometimes you just want to manhandle those kids. But we're not villains. We have villain thought, but we don't take villain action. My suggestion for Adnan is only maybe he can put the quote that he shared at the end of his speech and put it right at the beginning of the speech, because personally, I feel it feels more natural to hear the quote first and then share with us about your real life example at the later part of his speech. But that's just personal taste. All in all, an excellent and engaging speaker. Next, let us move on to Akila, where her speech is there a limit being good? Similar to Adlan, she had her opening where she answered the question where she believed there is no limit of being good. She also provided us with a good life lesson in her speech content of not expecting something in return. It's a good life philosophy that all of us need to stand by. Throughout her speech, she mentioned that there are people who took advantage of this kindness. Maybe Akila can share with us, maybe she can make use of her time more to share with us some of her personal stories on how people exploit her kindness to get people hooked into your speech more. By incorporating this real life example, you could nicely wrap up your speech and leave an impactful message by the end of your speech. Next, let's move on to King Ho. If I could describe King Ho, it's like those kind of friend who are passionate about something and keeps on talking about the topic that they are passionate about. And that's fine. Most people love to listen to people describing something that they are passionate about. My suggestion for King Hong is maybe pick an example of a villain that everyone can relate to and aware of. Because personally, I couldn't relate to the villain because I'm not aware of it. Because I couldn't picture how evil is this professor in the Money Heist since I don't watch them. It is hard for me to understand why you wanted to choose this character if you were to become the villain. Also, using a character from recent movies or series, it might put off other fans who haven't watched the series, so you might want to be extra careful about this. Aside from that, you had a great content to justify your selection. It would be even better if it could have been wrapped off by conclusion and leave us with a meaningful life story or message that you have learned from this character. And lastly, from Amy, sympathy to villain. Since this is her first time attempting table topic, I want to congratulate Amy for taking her second step to build her confidence, which her first step for coming to tonight's meeting. So everyone, please say congratulations to Amy in the chat to give her more confidence boost. And yes, Amy, I do agree with you that not all villains are villains just because they want to watch the world burn. They have their own reason why they commit such villainous act. Since you are here to build your confidence, my tip for you is to never say sorry when you are delivering your speech, whenever you make a small mistakes in your speech. We used to say sorry as well in the beginning of our Toastmaster journey, and it really left us with a not so great feeling. But once we stop this habit, we gradually feel even more confident and even feel more better of ourselves. That's my evaluation. Back to you, Lim Mei An.
Thank you, Shanur, for your feedback towards our 4 table topic speaker. I would now like to invite our table topics master from UBD Toastmasters Club, Motivational Relationships, Proficient Level 1, Zati Rahman, to the floor to announce the best table topic speaker. Everyone, let us all welcome Zati back.
Thank you. So the winner is, drumroll, Adlan. Would you like to give your 1-minute speech, please?
All right. Apparently I can't spotlight myself. Could someone do it for me, please? Thank you. All right, 2 seconds. Well, thank you everyone for your vote of confidence. With this few seconds left, I would like to give a message that I also believe that not villains and criminals are not synonymous, because I believe that villains are just people who are not constrained to social construct, while criminals just break the law. So that's my 2 cents for the takeaway. Thank you, everyone. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Adlan, for your 2 cents at the end, which sounded rather much like a disclaimer. We now move on to evaluations of the second session, which consisted of the prepared speech projects. We had Toastmasters Charles Buck giving his icebreaker. To evaluate his icebreaker speech, we had Toastmasters Amar Mirza as his evaluator. And without further ado, let us bring Amar Mirza onto the floor.
Thank you, General Evaluator. Fellow Toastmasters, guests, and especially Charles. Congratulations on your first attempt on the icebreaker speech. Now, you told us about yourself and definitely made us all feel very welcomed and warm in your life in the most electrifying and hair-raising way, which was by introducing us in a dramatic scene of 2 gladiators, Maximus and Commodus, to show how you view life in a dramatic sense. And if I might say so myself, in an epic manner. And this definitely engaged the audience with your speech. So you used a series of images through a chronological order to tell us a story about your life, starting from when you were a baby to your childhood, all the way to your current present self. And personally, I love how you gave us a vivid image of how you experienced a tough childhood when you were younger, such as how your first baby crib was none other than a shoebox, how your father was a tyrant, but you still blasted away all your troubles with a Hadoken. And that was really a very, very good, how to say, show in my opinion that you gave. It wasn't just a speech, but it was a show to us all. Now, a highlight that I personally loved as well about your speech was definitely your open body gestures, which included the part where you stopped for a moment, you paused, and you put on your shades for a hair-raising pose. As a matter of fact, your speech was really great, that I think if you included a reenactment, added with a more vocal variety in your speech, it would bring more life to it for a far more in-depth experience through the tour of your life. All in all, I think you did a great job in your speech that was filled with so much smiles and enthusiasm. And you definitely got the audience engaged with your speech, along with your 80s cartoons and shows reference. And I'll definitely be looking forward to your future speeches. Charles, back to you, General Evaluator.
Thank you, Toastmasters Amar, for evaluating Toastmasters Charles. I knew you were one of the right candidates to evaluate this project. Please look forward to my evaluation at the later part of this session. Next, we have from Brunei Advanced Speakers Club, Advanced Computer Silver, Advanced Leader Silver, Rui Chong Narcis, to give her evaluation on Ping Hendra's Cross-Cultural Understanding project. Over to you, Rui.
Thank you, Mei An. Hang on a second. Let me just get this alert out of my screen. Ping, well done. You not only raised my hair with your story, but you also brought back a lot of memories. Now, everyone, did you feel Ping when he gave you that speech? Raise your hand if you did. Basically, what Ping did very well is on the onset, he included the audience. He got us to raise our hands, included us, right, in telling us his story. And he went through in chronological order, and each step of the way, he brought us to the different experiences he had, all the way from Medan to Singapore. I mean, it was like basically going on a road trip if you pay. Well done on that. Medan to Singapore, Singapore to the US, US to China, and all these kind of things. So what was really good was the structure of the speech in a way that it was easy to follow. I would say that one thing missing is a lot of us we come across the word culture or stereotypes, generalization. Now, for some people in the audience, you might like to define it. And you can share a small story at the very beginning to say, for example, when you were young, your mom dragged you out and you met this uncle that was like, just came back from the US and glasses and whatnot. He had the smart look that our parents tell us about. So from that experience, you could actually explain a little, well, this is our culture. We value higher education, and look, he's got glasses, which means he spends a lot of time reading. So it's naturally that brings us to assume that it is smart, right? The level of English, all these kind of things. So from your own experience, right? How did that kind of shape you? And that will teach us as an audience, what do we mean by culture? It's not just location or ethnicity. I would say that with that as a proper foundation, when you go through it, hone in. So say language ability. When you were in Indonesia, your English was good. It was good. You got to Singapore, right? Then it was not so good. But then again, you established a fact. Singaporeans don't speak the best of English. Is that correct? And then you can actually bring that all through to China, right? Where your Chinese is great for an Indonesian, right? But not for a mainland Chinese-born person. So there is how it would have been a little bit clearer. But the ending itself was a little bit confusing for me because he said, don't change yourself. And then at the end he said, be yourself. And then I went, okay, what? No change? Oh, okay. So perhaps to tighten that across. But Ping, I'm on hand to help you with a new and improved version 2. And we will talk offline on this. So you have me on your side for the next attempt for this speech. But well done. I love your enthusiasm. Oh, general evaluator.
I'm back. Thank you, Rui, for your eloquent feedback for our international guests. Last but not least, we have our last speech evaluator evaluating Toastmasters PP from overseas. Let's welcome onto the stage Presentation Mastery Level 4 Proficient, Ted G.
Am I audible? Well, Pipit, when I started, I said I want to see how well you connect with the audience with an unfamiliar topic. Now, this is how I'm going to evaluate you based on two things. First, understanding your audience, hence the topic selection. And secondly, engagement mechanism. Let's get into it. First thing, understanding your audience, hence your topic selection. What I felt you did well is you appealed to our emotional righteousness, the need to protect. When you first picked out that picture of those soldiers pulling the baby off those barbed wire, inside as a parent, I wanted to protect the baby. Immediately right off the gate, you gave us that emotionally charged picture. So you understood us well in that sense, and you did well with that beginning. Well done. What I felt it fell short in terms of understanding your audience is politics. Politics is a very divided, very polarizing topic. You may appeal to one group, but you will definitely alienate another group. Even with the Afghanistan story, some people will support the Taliban government, some will not. So if you did do that, this kind of topic, you are bound to step on some toes. Hence, I felt that in this case, I suggest to choose a topic that is not so quite divisive, a little bit less aggression involved, because regardless of whether you're right or wrong, some will agree with you, some will not. And those people that disagree with you will be disconnected from you. So I felt that the choice of topic selection is crucial in this sense. Now, on the second point, which is the engagement mechanism, what I felt you did well was you used very good slides and analogies in your speech throughout. You show us pictures because pictures speak louder than words. You use them well. You use analogies to explain hard to understand topics. Rightfully, I don't understand a lot of what you just said, but use analogies to back that up and you make me understand. So I felt that you did well in that regards. And your structure was very clear. You start off with what is R2P, you start on the good and the bad. So structure-wise, it was very clear-cut. So you allow us to engage mentally well with those topics. Now, what I felt that could have been improved is using other engagement methods with the audience. For example, from the very beginning, you asked us to raise our hands whether you know this picture, but that's about the end of all the engagement. I felt that more could be done using Zoom to get us more engaged with your topics. And secondly, which is the takeaway from us. For us, you did not give us a takeaway message at the end. If you could have given us a takeaway message at the end, we are mentally engaged with your topic as well. So I felt those two are what is missing in this. Now, I would like to issue you a challenge, which is, if you can, try this topic, try this speech again with a less polarizing topic, use engagement tools that's available on Zoom, and give us a close takeaway so that we can be more engaged mentally with your speech. Now, to summarize, in terms of understanding your audience, what you did well, you appealed to our self-righteousness, the need to protect. What you need to think about is the choice of topics. Politics, to me, is a very fine line. Your engagement mechanism, you did well using your slides, analogies, clear structure, but other forms of engagement mechanism could be used over Zoom, and also a close takeaway. With that, I can talk to you later. Back to you, GE.
Thank you very much, Tad, for your feedback for our international guest Pipit. Timer, you may now start timing for 3 minutes to give my evaluation towards our 5 speech evaluators for this evening. I would like to start with Shanur. If I can find my notes. Shanur started his introduction by mentioning that he would be focused on structuring. In other words, opening, body, and conclusion. I would say he stuck to what he has said. My only point of recommendation would be his choice of interpretation towards our guest speech from Kuching. Now, I think that in this part, Shanu had contradicted himself. This is because you were not connected to what Money Heist was about, and therefore your choice of words in your conclusion saying that your speaker had a good content wasn't quite fitting. Therefore, my challenge to you would be, even though you're in an impromptu setting, how would you make your feedback more congruent with each other. So to already share that you didn't quite relate, but to say it was good content was contradictory. Moving on to our second evaluator, Amar. Amar also mentioned that he would look into structure as well as delivery, for which we all agree that Charles was rather theatrical and proficient on that. Now, I also think Amar was very encouraging and he could relate to icebreaker speech very well. It was one of the reasons why I've chosen him to be an icebreaker speech evaluator. What I felt that could have been done was to tighten up on the structure, because there were two major teams in Charles's icebreaker team. One was about his sense and his inclination to run away. Another that is his hobbies and how he likes his nerdy things. I would think that for a level of proficiency that Charles is already at, that perhaps Amar's evaluator could have pushed the speaker to tighten up his speech such that towards the end, maybe Charles wouldn't even have to say that he's not quite sure what to answer this question, but we do know. So my suggestion would be to tighten up on the structure, sticking to one of the two major teams. My next speaker is Rui. Rui shared her evaluation for Ping. I've always enjoyed listening to Rui's evaluation because I learned a lot from it, and a lot of it was particularly spot on about the culture and how it will make us more engaging. However, I think that the key component here was the ending. Although the content was great, but the ending was a bit abrupt and chaotic. And we both knew that the ending could have been improved such that Ping's entire speech would have been more coherent and flowed better. But because it was almost towards the red light, us as the audience did not get a chance to learn why a weaker conclusion can break a speech apart. So we would have loved to also learn about the technicalities of this rather than just having you give this feedback to Ping personally after the meeting. Last but not least, to evaluate Ted. Me too, I'm showing my biasness about my favorite evaluators, but I've always liked Ted's evaluations too, and it's because it's very clear-cut, it's very easy to understand. I felt the same way today. Now, the only two areas to improve tonight, number one, again, is our usual get to the point. I felt that, again, it was rather clinical. I do like it, but I understand that you're trying to get more personalized and encouraging for the speaker. So hence that is why that is my first suggestion, to try to make it less cold, less clinical, although I must say I have to learn this myself too. And the second one is that you were already in a very comfortable timing. You were on the yellow light. So I thought it was unnecessary for you to do a double summary. You ended very well with the challenge and you could have stayed there, but then you did a double summary and you went over time. Maybe, but the red light had hit. And now this wraps up the feedback we have for our speech evaluators. There were 4 of them, Shanur, Amar, Rui, and Ted. And we move on now to the second part of the evaluation session, for which we have grammarian Rano Iskandar, distinguished Toastmasters, to come out onto stage to give his grammarian report. Over to you, Rano.
Okay. Can everyone hear me? Should be okay, right? So we have people who, I wouldn't say they abuse the word of the day. We have Megat who talk about the hair raising when he talked about flipping his hair. We have Buck as well, who said hair raising experience. We have Rui. No, Rui used a bit of a trick. She said, raise some hair. So I see what she did there. Pretty unique. And Ted as well said today will be a hair-raising experience. And the last one is Amar, who said in a hair-raising way. So I hope I didn't miss out anyone. And so there were some recommendations, I would say, in terms of the usage of the grammar. Firstly, someone said everybody assumes. I think maybe the correct phrase to use is everyone assumes. And then someone said more better. It's actually redundant if you use the word more, because better is already a superlative. So you just say better instead of saying more better. And I think one person keeps saying the word generalization when it comes to different types of cultures. I think the suitable word for this to explain is actually stereotyping. So there's a few some suggestions that I have. And now for so many good usages of English. Zati said binge watching more money heist. Binge watching means you keep watching, you overwatch basically. You overwatch, you spend time watching a particular TV series. And I like when she handed to the, instead of saying victims, she said, would you like to risk yourself? So I think that's a very nice way of saying it, especially when you're a villain. Now Adlan used the word manhandling. So manhandling is you physically handle someone in a very rough way. So he did it it's quite unique lah, manhandling. And Akila also mentioned people test you as a human being. So I like it, very, very subtle and very apt. I think it was, who is this? I forgot the name of the guest. There was, I think, Hing Kong. I can't remember, but he said the job doesn't justify what he does. So that's a very good way of saying it. And I think Megat was also saying, I was intrigued with the last question, so very, very curious. Now Bach had a lot. Bach, he said a PG version. I hope I hear it correctly. PG version means it's like safe for work. So it's nothing R-rated. And I like the way when he said, if it's any consolation, means that even though there is always a silver lining. So I like the way he said it. He also used the word, a very interesting adjective, hippie, Big Bang Theory nerd. So I think those people who watch Big Bang Theory would associate with this. Pipit said reaching the point of no return. So that means there's no coming back. And I think Ted had a few, eliminate the others. I like it when he mentioned that. And also the last one is bound to step on someone's shoes. So don't step on someone's shoes because otherwise you get into trouble. So that's it for my grammar report. Back to you, G.
Thank you very much, Rano, for your grammarian report. I enjoyed that. I also like your word of the day. Now let's move on to our R counter and who said what? Lai Ling Ling, Presentation Master Level 5. Team Collaboration Level 2 Proficient. Lai Ling Ling, onto the stage, please.
All right, thank you very much, May Ann. Today was a good day for our counting, but before I get into nitty-gritty, I'd like to congratulate Alice, Wanting, Khairul, May Ann, Rui, Ping, and Pipit. All of you had no as crotchwords and fillers for tonight, so well done. I noticed that this is mostly because speakers like May Ann and Rui, they take their time speaking. So instead of rushing forward, the slower pace, the careful consideration in their words allow them to hold back from saying all these ums and ers. Now let's move on to the other speakers of the night. Adlan, you had 1 and 3 ers. Aimi, during your introduction, you had 12 ums, 3 ers, 4 sos, and 3 yes. I understand because sometimes people get a bit nervous and that translates to saying Curiously, you don't say like everyone, you say it with an R, so it's more like an I thought that was quite cool. King Hong had 6 12 ers, and 3 yes. Megat, you did quite well considering that you were hosting and you had a lot of transition. So you had 2 sos, 4 ands. And was your favorite crotch word. You like to use it in between sentences so things become a bit run on. Zaki, you had 5 and curiously enough, 7 sos. So So was your word of choice for transitions. Be wary of that so that you don't end up using the word so in front of your sentences. Shahnur, you have very curious crutch words. So you use so as well, and because, which was, I thought was very unique. You like to join sentences using the word because, first time I've ever seen that for anyone. Rano, you had, actually you should be, I didn't highlight your name, sorry. Rano, you also had no crutch words, so well done to Rano as well. Ling Ling had one Amar had two Akash, you had just the one Charles, you had just the one It was during a very long pause, so that happened there. Ted, your crutch word, interesting enough, is hence. So you said that 3 times. And Akila Shafika, you said twice. So that's it for the account report. Now we move on to the who said what. I start off easy. What does R2P stand for? Oh yeah, sorry. Can everyone unmute yourselves?
Responsibility
so
to protect.
Responsibility to project.
Responsibility to protect.
Thank you.
All right. Insert joke about R2D2. Okay. What TV series was continuously referred to?
Money Heist.
Money Heist. Excellent. Excellent.
Nice.
Season 5 sucks.
Whenever Adlan students test him, what does he think about doing?
Manhandling them.
Throw them out
Excellent.
the window.
Excellent. And also throwing them out the window.
Yes.
Okay, bonus. Ping moved where in his childhood?
Singapore.
Singapore.
Specifically, which neighborhood?
12 years. What is it?
In Singapore? Or
Something called
California?
Cupertino. I'm not too sure. Did I catch that right, Ping? Cupertino?
Oh, Cupertino, California. Yeah.
Something like that.
California too.
I got it wrong. Damn it. Okay, apologies.
That was here.
Okay, what characters did Charles mention in his speech? I got 4 here.
Rui,
Rio.
From
Yeah, Ryu. Rui, not Ryu. Okay.
Ryu
Maximus. Commodus.
Terminator. Oh.
Okay, okay. Terminator. Yeah, correct.
Terminator.
Yeah.
Wait, Terminator is not a character.
I would agree on that. Terminator is not correct.
He
It's a real
mentioned.
life person.
But what didn't he mention? It's Dragon Ball.
Oh.
Okay.
Yeah. You didn't. I don't
Okay,
know
last
it,
question,
though.
last question.
Okay.
How much did we save tonight?
Change. We save change, right?
4 cents, 2 cents from Shahnur and 2 cents from Rayan. Thank you very much, guys.
Thank you, Ling Ling, for your R counter report and the interesting Who Said What session. I always like the Who Said What session. Last but not least, our last role player to help our TME perform the show from UBD Toastmasters Club, Akash Kumar, presenting mastery level 1 proficient. Akash, over to you.
Can you hear me? Audible? Okay, great. Okay, so let's see. The meeting started at 7:30 sharp. Then the SAA introduction and the guest introductions took 8 minutes 45 seconds. The TME took over at 7:39. The role player introductions took 8 minutes 15 seconds. Megut's thought of the day took 2 minutes 3 seconds. Then the table topic session started at 7:51. The first speaker, Adlan, took 1 minute 57 seconds. Second speaker, Akila Shakifa, took 1 minute 4 seconds. Third speaker, King Hong, took 1 minute 34 seconds. And our last table topic speaker, Aimi, took 49 seconds. And we ended the table topic sessions at 8:05. The prepared speech started at 8:06. The first speaker, the Terminator, Charles Buck, took 7 minutes 14 seconds. The second speech by Strategic Relationships 1, Ping Hendra, took 6 minutes 45 seconds. Third speaker, presentation mastery, Pipit Andriani, took 7 minutes, 14 seconds. Then we started our break at 8:34, ended it at 8:40, so 6 minutes of breaks. Our evaluation session started at 8:40. The table topics evaluations took 4 minutes, 24 seconds. The announcement of the best table topics took 53 seconds. That's including the appreciation award speech. Then our prepared speech evaluations. The first evaluation by Toastmaster Amar Mirza took 2 minutes, 18 seconds. The second evaluation by Rui Chong took 3 minutes, 54 seconds. And the third by presentation mastery level 4, Ted G, took 3 minutes, 20 seconds. Our grammarian Drano took 3 minutes, 26 seconds. The R counter Lai Ling Ling took 4 minutes, 42 seconds. And I took 2 minutes, 30 seconds. The Mayan for her prepared speech evaluation took 5 minutes, 30 seconds. Okay, so all of you can send your vote to Megat for the best evaluations. The following names that I'm going to take are eligible for the vote. So, wait a second. Okay, Shahanur Nizam, Toastmaster Amar Mirza, Ted G, Rano. Yes, the following. I'll repeat them. Shahanur Nizam, Amar Mirza, Ted G, and Rano. With that, back to you, Limeyan.
Thank you very much, Akash, for your timing report. We now begin the last part of the feedback session, which is the session for me to evaluate the remaining role players, specifically the grammarian, R counter, and the timer. And finally, wrapping up with a general feedback towards the running of the meeting. Timer, please start me. Rano, I like how I like your word of the day. I thought it was very interesting. It's such a shame that I didn't get to use it myself because I was too distracted elsewhere. I also like how you're very well prepared. I like that you balance out the assessment of the English language. I only have one technical point to nitpick, which is you mentioned more better. I agree, it is redundant now, but these are not superlatives, these are comparatives. And redundant itself is also quite a difficult word to use. So it would have been better if you could have phrased it in this manner. Everyone, if you're going to use more better, you don't have to. More is already, in one sense, a comparison, and so is better. Just use one or the other. Moving on to the R counters, report, feedback. My crush and filler words are coming out horribly now. Anyway, I like how Ling Ling is always very witty. I think I think that she listened really well, and I think our counter and Who Said report, as usual, is always very challenging to balance, giving the technical part, the quantitative part, and balancing it with the quiz session, which is always fun. Nonetheless, well done. I enjoyed your session. Akash, I must say you are very well prepared. A very fitting tip for the audience as well. Now, I also like how you were very focused on it. You make sure everyone started on time. You make sure you finish your break on time. You were punctual. You were on the spot. What I particularly liked tonight was towards the end, our internet connection collectively in this Zoom meeting is starting to lag. So you made it a point to repeat the list of contenders for the best evaluation ribbon. So very well done on that. Moving on to the general running of the show, I thought there were hardly any glitches. I think all role players from the TME, Megat to the table topics masters, Zati to the timer and tip, Akash from UB Toastmasters Club, our own Rano, Shanor, Ling Ling, everyone, role players. These were, if I'm not mistaken, they were already collected, they were herded together by our TME early on, therefore was organized. I also like how at the very beginning, the TME was very, very receptive to everyone that came. Transitions were very smooth. So, and for example, I mentioned that I would be looking at enthusiasm, and very quickly, Mega picked up on that and made sure everyone responded. So connecting with the audience was really great in this meeting. Everyone did their job very well. All role players, I note down for everyone, they were very well prepared, especially the guests from UB. And I particularly just want to make it a point to raise our guests because they took their time to attend double meetings in a week, and they came in very much prepared. For example, the theme for the table topics was very fun. The questions were not boring, they were not stale, and it was very thought-provoking. And I keep thinking about Les Miserables. I may watch the musical after this. With this, I end my general evaluation session, and we will return the floor to the Toastmaster of the evening, Megat Arif.
Thank you so much, Megan. There was a lovely evaluation session. I hope everyone had a good time during the evaluation session. Now, ladies and gentlemen, my closing remarks would be thank you so much for everyone. Thank you for my role players who want to take the role play for tonight. Thank you, Shahnor. Thank you, Zati. Thank you, Amar Miza, Rui, Tedji, Rano, Lang Ning Ning, and Akash for last minute. Actually, it was Shahuda, if I'm not mistaken, but she can't make it. But now we have Akash. Thank you so much, everyone, for taking roles. And I would love to also appreciate and thanks to all of our prepared speakers for tonight. We had Charles, and we have two international speakers. We had Ping Hendra and Pipit Andriani. Thank you so much, guys, for wanting to deliver your speech in our clubs. And with that being said, I hope everyone had a good night, a good fruitful session of Brunei Speakers Club Zoom meeting. And let me pass now the floor to our President, Brunei Speakers Club President. Can we invite Shahnor Nizam?
Hello and good evening again, ladies and gentlemen. Can we give a warm round of applause to Megat Arif for hosting such a fun session, everyone? I hope you can hear my claps. Okay, can you show me the agenda? The agenda. It's okay, I have mine. Yeah, there it is. So, the announcement for next week TME, can we have our VPE to announce who will be the next week TME?
Hello, this is your VPE of Brunei Speakers Club speaking. The next week's Toastmaster of Evening would be myself. So please hook me up to get your role next week. It will be my second time as TME virtually. Some of you may know that I took it upon myself to make sure that I'm on top of my hosting game, and therefore I do a monthly TM. I sign up to be a monthly TME. So yeah, looking forward to my lineup next week. And back to you, President.
Thank you, May-An. Now let us proceed to the guest comment. Do we have guests to share their comments? Aimee, would you like to share your thoughts with us?
Yeah, I'm going to just keep it very short. It was my first time joining the Toastmasters tonight, and my thoughts are just, wow, how did they do that? How were they not nervous? How could they make speeches right there and right then? Everyone on Toastmasters are indeed masters. You guys give speeches very effortlessly. I envy your confidence, and I wish I had that. Tonight's table topic was about villains. Despite having watched numerous villain movies, nothing could come out of my mouth. It was indeed a very hair-raising experience for me, and this is something that I am hoping to change about myself in the near future. Thank you, everyone. That's my comment.
Thank you, Aimee, for giving us your comment. I'm sure one day you will have that confidence if you stick to it and be more and build your competency. Next, can we have Alice to share with us her comment?
Hello, I enjoyed tonight's session and I hope to come back. Thank you so much for having me today. I learned a lot from everyone.
Okay, thank you, Alice. Next, Kyril, would you like to share with us your comment?
Hi everyone. So I enjoyed this afternoon, this evening session. So I learned a lot of things tonight. Such as basically is some things that sometimes we forget about opening, body, and conclusions. Having the good hand gesture to presentations. Opening speech is important. Well, basically, there's a lot of things I've learned tonight. So it was a good experience. Yes, thanks everyone.
Thank you, Kyril, for sharing us your thought. Imagine how many things you would learn if you attend to our meeting every week. I'm sure you will learn more if you keep on coming. Thank you very much. Next, let us move on to the next agenda, which is the members' feedback. Do we have any other members who want to share their feedback? I'm also opening the door to members from other club and also Brunei as well. Going once, going twice. Yeah, okay.
So I only have one feedback. First of all, thank you very much, Mian, for the role that you gave for this week's session. And the feedback that I have would be, I've heard a couple of times that certain people still mentions Magat's name as Maggot. So it's Magat, not Maggot. I remember this was kind of brought up to light before as well. So yeah, it's Magat Arif, not Maggot Arif. Thank you.
Thank you for your feedback, Amar. Magat, I think it's about time we call you by your real name. What do you think? What do you think by your real? I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. Another member from other club. Pipit, would you like to share with us your thoughts?
Yes. Thank you so much for the opportunity to speak at this club. And I was a little bit hesitant because do I know anyone here? But I met Louis, I think twice. So I think we're okay. Hi, Louis. But yeah, it was professionally run. So 30 minutes before meeting, it was already on, try all the slides, just to make sure everything runs well. And I rarely see that in Toastmasters these days. People just come very close to the meeting, the starting time, and then take care of everything. But no one was missing. Usually in my own club, sometimes I counter 10 minutes late, or the blah 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 10 minutes late, and have to find a replacement on the spot. So I did not see it today here. So I think you guys have done a wonderful job running this meeting professionally. Congratulations.
Thank you, Pipit, for sharing your thoughts. Fellow members, I hope all of us take this word as an inspiration for us to keep maintaining this quality of meetings so everyone can come on time. Next, let's move on to any other business. Do we have any other business? Going once, twice, gone. Next, the announcement of the best evaluator. Magat, do you have the best evaluator already?
I texted you already. Who's the best evaluator?
Oh, can you bump me? It seems like. Text again. Okay. So the best evaluator for tonight's meeting is, drum roll please, harder, drum the air. Ted G, everyone, congratulations Ted G for winning the best evaluator virtual invisible ribbon. This is the ribbon, it's invisible. I can feel it. Next, for my closing remark. Let me open up my notes. Tonight, I want to talk about confidence, since some of the guests who came here tonight came here with the expectation to improve their confidence. If you think it is hard for you to be confident, you might want to brush off those mindsets because it hinders the development of your confidence. The key ingredient to build confidence is, like what Adlan said, is building your competency. If you learn and know your craft, your stuff well enough, you will become competent. In turn, you'll become more confident. Now, the question is, how and where can you learn to become competent? I've got good news for you, because in Brunei, we have 4 Toastmasters Club in Brunei. So you can come all of them and build your competency faster, 4 times faster, and learn your craft. In Brunei Speakers Club, we are here every Tuesday, same day, same time, lending our hands to help each other to become a better version of ourselves. Like Megat said, no one can help us if we don't help ourselves. Brunei Speakers Club, we don't disappoint. Place to make mistake, no consequence. Brunei Speakers Club, you should join. We help you build your confidence. And with that, I adjourn this meeting.